Hello, BookTube, and welcome back to the Future History Project. And we are now wrapping up week 5 of the short stories, and we are doing 6 of Susan Calvin. The final story, Feminine Intuition, that is in the Complete Robot, kicks off week 6, and then the actual final story that Isaac Asimov wrote about Susan Calvin is called Robot Dreams, and that was written for specifically for the collection Robot Dreams. I don't have that to hand here. I'm just using my phone with the list on. And then there's 4 stories that are written by other authors that appeared in Foundation's Friends, and that was in 1989. And that is Balance by Mike Resnick, PAPPI by Sheila Finch, Plato's Cave by Poul and The Fourth Law of Robotics by Harry Harrison. I have not read these, so they'll be new to me, and I'm not sure where they fit into Susan Calvin's timeline. But then going forward and into week 7, we will begin the trilogy, iRobot trilogy. And that was written by Mickey Reichart, and she was asked to write a trilogy, and it's a prequel, apparently, to the Susan Calvin stories. I have not read those either. However, I understand she's moved the timeline up to around the 2030s, where if it's supposed to be a prequel to the Susan Calvin stories that Isaac Asimov wrote, then that should be early 21st century. But as we've seen, the timeline is a bit shaky, so that should work. But I wanted to put those after all the short stories, even though they will be, the timeline is a bit shaky there. But I hope everybody's enjoying the readings and the Susan Calvin stories. As I said, they are important for the Future History Project, because in hindsight, what Asimov does with the story, with themes, with sort of how important sort of her work is, and her impact on robots and, as we would say now, artificial intelligence, which wasn't really used at the time that Isaac Asimov was writing those stories, is important. And also a few things that are in there, because we've shown that the U.S. Robots and Mechanical Men, and as it turns out, a rival company, had been trying to get a faster-than-light space drive. And the U.S. Robotics and Mechanical Men have been working on a hyperdrive, but their competitors have a hyperdrive as well. It's a little quirky, run by a quirky brain, but that allows faster than light travel, which allows for interstellar travel, which then allows for colonization of worlds outside of our solar system, which in the full length of the Future History, that is important. So we will eventually get to those, and I'm hoping that we will then start looking back to see where Isaac Asimov has fit in things that came before to what he's writing then, at that time, that are the future. However, as I've said over and over, he never wrote it as a timeline. He never had a timeline written out. He was asked by John W. Campbell to do this. He tried, but he couldn't do it, and he just thought it boxed him in too much. So he just started writing stories. But when he went to write a story, and he wanted to set it somewhere, because he'd already created this universe with certain things, the foundation, empire and things like that, it was easy to plop a story into that world. And then there were other stories that he never, or novels that he never actually thought of as so much in that world, which he was trying near the end of his life to bring into the fold. And that's things like Nemesis and so forth, which we will talk about that as we get there, because they are mentioned in other writings that he's done that are set in the future history universe. And then come along other writers were writing stories that are set within that universe, and most of those are robot stories, and we will get to those, and they're robot novels, barring the uh, robot stories that are in Foundation's Friends. But anyway, I'll leave it there, and we will begin next week with feminine intuition. And if you have any questions, comments, to use the comment section or email me. Feel free to email me. And I hope you're enjoying this. And we are moving forward into the future history. Take care, BookTube.